Hey, this is Matt for AVNation.tv. We are here in sunny Orlando, Florida for InfoComm 2019. We are in the Shure booth with my good friend Chris. Chris, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks for coming.
Thank you so much for having us into the booth. For individuals who maybe didn't get to go to ISC because they like bad decisions, they may be wondering why your shirt is no longer white font.
Right.
Why you've got a green font.
What's up with green? Why
we've got all this green all over the booth. It's all redesigned. Tell us a little bit about, for again, anybody who didn't follow ISC, why the new branding, why the new look, why we made this change.
Right. Well, we call it Ignition Green. It's actually the same color you see on a lot of green LEDs on electronic equipment. And for us, it's kind of a relaunch of our commitment to the integrated systems business, as well as our other markets too. But it's just sort of a fresh, updated look for us and a sign of a lot of new energy at the company. Okay. We've got a campaign going on right now called Make Connections Feel Effortless, where we're trying to educate and inform and convince people that audio is something that needs to be thought of at the front end of the design process. It shouldn't be an afterthought at the end. And so we're going to produce white papers, educational materials, videos that integrators can show to their clients and that clients can use to, realize that audio is important.
So definitely in the vein of those white papers and the videos and whatnot, it is 100% end user content. It's not just integrator only.
Right, no, this isn't technical educational material, as well as it's taking one step back and looking at the higher altitude view about why is audio so critical to the meeting experience. It's the majority of the information exchanged in a meeting is audio, it's not visual, and so good microphones, good sound quality is really critical.
Video is amazing, but if you can't hear what they're saying on the video,
Exactly. So people can go to effortless.shure.com and browse that material and maybe find some useful stuff.
Very good. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, speaking of essentially intelligent audio, a couple years ago you launched the MX line of series, the 910s and the 310s. You've recently made some changes to the 910s. Let's talk a little bit about those changes and how they're affecting not only the end users, but also integrators.
Right, so the 910 has been phenomenally successful. This is the ceiling array microphone. Yes. It's been a great option for a lot of customers, and so many people have asked for even more of that microphone. We've now, I guess you'd say, we've turbocharged it with more horsepower. There's more capability, more DSP in it. So now the MXA 910 has built-in IntelliMix, which consists of our own acoustic echo cancellation in the mic, electronic noise reduction, automatic mixing, automatic gain control, all kinds of great features that make it perform even better, even without an outboard DSP, if you don't want to pay for one, and give it even more flexibility in bigger installations. We've also added a feature called autofocus. So if you point the lobes at different seats around the conference table, for instance, the question is, what happens when somebody leans back in their chair? Or what happens if somebody stands up?
They don't ever do that in a conference.
Never,
do they?
no. It would
sit
be bad
where I
behavior.
tell you.
Right. But so now with autofocus, the lobe automatically steers a little up or to the side and tracks that person. Really? So if you move temporarily one way or the other, it'll shift in real time to stay focused on the talker, so more consistent sound quality. And we've also put more setup templates and things in there so that the product works even better out of the box, so that's less setup and configuration time for the integrator. So it's more of a turnkey solution than it was.
So let me ask you something about the DSP side. You mentioned how you added more DSP into it so that you don't necessarily need that external DSP.
Right.
If you're not using that external DSP, are you still connecting to the 910 the same way?
Yep, it's still a Dante connection, still a single Ethernet cable. And by the way, all this goodness is backward compatible with adding this new firmware to your existing MXA 910. You can have all these features for free. Now in larger installs where you might want 2 or 3 MXA 910s, you can still run those to a P300 IntelliMix processor, and it'll add some more echo cancellation horsepower and more auto mixing. So for bigger rooms, you can still make use of this. It works out really well.
That's fantastic. One of the things I wanted to touch on when we first started this conversation, we talked about the design and the aesthetic of meeting rooms. You guys are doing something that seems like a really simple thing, but as we talked kind of pre-show even, designers and architects, they're being more involved in that conversation not only earlier, which we all know they are, but even down to what shows up from a tech standpoint in those rooms. Tell us what you've done with some of your conference systems to help that, and why that's changing so much the way that we interact with the architect and the designer community.
Right. Yeah, well, you know, the way a room looks and the style of the meeting space are more important than ever. And in a lot of cases, architects and interior designers are going to great lengths to create a very imaginative kind of space, sometimes with a very non-standard ceiling or a very elaborate table setup or a certain color scheme. And a typical black utilitarian microphone just kind of stands out like a sore thumb.
Right.
So our ceiling mic and table array mic have been available in white and silver as well as black for quite a while now. So now we've taken it into the gooseneck and boundary mics in our MXW and ULXD line. So you can get bright white gooseneck mics, even with a white windscreen and a nice white base to it. And if that's the color scheme for the room, great, these mics will fit right in. So we're just trying to give people more options because we don't want appearance or mounting or anything like that to be an obstacle to what's the best sound for the room.
Of course. What is the direction, what is the potential that you see to further expand that, to make that, I don't know if it's a custom opportunity or a larger slate of colors or finishes or something like that. Is that something that we as an industry are going to have to continue to move towards?
I think so. I think you know, the companies that are taking advantage of collaboration, high-tech companies, their business, whatever it is all about not accepting boundaries and saying we want to break through, we want to disrupt, we want to, you know, shatter the paradigm. And so when you say, well, but you can't put this mic there, or but you can't have it in that color, that seems like, why? That seems like a petty obstacle. Why should that be a big deal? So we're really trying to, you know, say no, it's about having lots of options, lots of choices. No one thing's going to be right for everybody. So you got to have a larger portfolio.
Very good. If you had any advice to give integrators that are still challenged, and I know that we're getting a little beyond what we were going to talk about, but I want to go there for a minute, that are challenged in dealing with architects and designers. How do you, because you guys obviously do it a lot, and heck, you did it in the brand new building that you opened last year.
Right.
There's a ton of architectural features in that facility. How do dealers better grow their relationships on that side?
Yeah, well, I think you just mentioned the key word is relationships. You know, the best time to deal with an architect or an interior designer is before you're halfway through a job. You know, the ideal would be you get to know those people in your market beforehand and say, you know, hey, this is what I do. Tell me what you're working on and how can we help you? Because a lot of times, some architects may not be completely fluent in current AV technology, and they may be designing things and not even thinking that it's going to cause a problem for acoustics or a problem for AV wiring or whatever. So, you know, the more you can get involved in that process and earlier on, the better, because then you can say, you know, this is a great idea, it looks tremendous if you could just leave a little spot here, or if you could just move this a little one side, you know, it'll make it so much simpler.
Very good. So if people want to find out more information on all those white papers, give us that address again, as well as, you know, where they can get all general Shure information.
Right, yeah, so effortless.shure.com is where they can find all the sort of educational materials that relate to this new Make Connections Feel Effortless campaign. And for just general product information, Shure.com, you know, there's a big tab there right now about what's new at InfoComm. You'll see everything that's on display here in the booth. And they can also link things like our Shure Audio Institute, where integrators can get free training on products, and we just launched a big initiative on RF training for wireless. So there's all kinds of resources there.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Chris.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. For more coverage from the show floor and to learn more about AVNation, please visit avnation.tv. That's avnation.tv.